What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Clayton Takes on the World. Today, I am joined by the lovely, beautiful Hannah Stone. Hannah is I guess she's a personal trainer, and I hesitate because I guess she has multiple different avenues at which she does her personal training. But today, we're here to get the scoop of Hannah Stone and how she became a personal trainer. So, Hannah, welcome, and how are you doing?
Thank you so much for having me. First of all, I am doing absolutely amazing. I'm having an amazing day. Yeah, so I'm a personal trainer. I work virtually, especially since COVID started. I have a lot of plans, like a lot of different programs online. If it's like one-on-one, or if it's like through an app where I build programs for people, or if it's like a weekly live Zoom that whoever wants to join can join, or I have a 8 weeks course that already pre-recorded. Yeah, and I'm a recipe creator. I'm creating a lot of recipes that are plant-based, super clean, super easy, super healthy, and easy to make. And yeah, and I'm
What are
very
you
much
doing?
into mental health as well.
Oh, I love it. Those are two of my favorite topics. So let's dive into both of them. But starting off with the health, did you feel like there was like a difficult transition whenever the Rona hit, or were you kind of ready for it all? Were you kind of doing online stuff already?
So I wasn't really doing online stuff. I was going like I always wanted to do it because I always felt like this is like the next thing, and this is like something that I can get to more people in this platform, and I always wanted to do it. But it's been tough and it's been hard with COVID, but I'm glad that it happened, because at the end of the day, like, this is what, like, made me, it kind of pushed me in a way. It kind of like led me into where I wanted to go anyway. So I know it's been like tough time for everybody, but I feel like it was actually a good thing for me, and I believe that this
It
is.
kind of like it kind of like pushed you to force you to dive like more deep into it to make it a thing.
Yeah, it kind of like left me no choice, and kind of like forced me.
It kind of forced you. Well, before we start getting too deep down that rabbit hole, let's go back to a couple years in the past whenever we had like little baby Hannah. I love asking people because I love figuring out how people get to where they are in life. What was the first thing whenever maybe it was a parent or maybe it was like a guardian or school counselor, they said, Hannah Stone, what do you want to be whenever you grow up? Do you remember what your first answer was whenever you got that question?
Okay, so let me tell you a little bit about where I'm from. I'm from
Please
Israel.
do.
Israel, it's a small country in the Middle East. I don't know if you heard about it. It's a small country.
Once or twice.
It's like it's a very small country that causes a lot of noise, around the world.
Right.
So this is where I'm from. I moved here 6 years ago to Vegas, and 3 months ago I moved to Austin, Texas. So I've been in the U.S. in the past 6 years. So excuse me about my English. It might be a little cracky here and there, but excuse me. English is not my first language. Anyways, I grew up in a super, 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 super extreme Orthodox Jew family, kind of like a cult. I left my parents' house when I was 14. I was like, I am not
Could
doing
you
this.
could you before you get too deep, like for someone I guess I barely know like the idea of Orthodox, right? Orthodox meaning like they're very strict to the text. Like what would be how does that kind of like shape you? Like is it like here's what you're doing? Did they kind of have like a roadmap laid out for you for like the next, for your entire life kind of thing?
Yeah, so like this kind of background, like there's like a structure for every person. Women are supposed to get married when they're 18 in an arranged marriage. They're supposed to have kids right away, and that's all basically they do. The men are studying the Bible all day, and like the women have to take care of everything. And regardless that, there is like little things that are not little, because it's literally everything in life, where it's like the way you dress, it's the way there's no internet, no TV, no radio, no music, no movies, no computer games, no nothing. You can't even wear like a certain color, no colorful
Oh wow.
socks, no red shirts, no jeans, no nothing. A lot of rules and everything. Me as a, as a kid, everything I heard was a no. Even if I wanted to have like a candy, it was a no, either because it's not kosher, or because we didn't have enough money for it, because my parents didn't really like, my dad didn't um work. My mom, she was the one that's working, and she was the one that's taking care of the household, but she was working as something that is very minimal. And I have like 10 siblings, and she has to feed everybody, and she has to take care of
Right.
everybody, including my dad, because he's not doing anything, because that's how it is in that community. So yeah, so everything was a no. And on top of that, I'm one of 11 siblings. So
Oh
I'm
wow.
exactly in the middle. I have five older than me, five younger than me, and I was the black sheep of the family. Thank God. Um, I'm saying that because it led me to leaving really early, and I'm really happy that it did, because I wouldn't want to be married now with like seven kids.
Yeah. So being the middle of the road and the black sheep, did you kind of see like, I guess, and I'm the oldest, so I don't really know, but to me, it strikes me as like you probably saw. Oh, I guess I'm asking this. Like, did you see like your older siblings kind of going down that path, and then seeing the resemblance maybe in the younger siblings, and that was what made you say, "Wait, something's wrong here."
No, I was actually the first one. I was born this way. I was born in a way that I don't want to do something that I don't like. I don't want to I've always been like that. I remember in first grade when everybody got the little like prayer book that everybody's like super excited to get and all that, and I was like doing like I was playing that, like I wasn't really like reading through it. I was like, I don't even understand what they're saying here. Like I don't feel connected to this thing. I don't believe that this is what I should do. So, and like the fact that the family, like specifically where I came from, my parents didn't really show us love, and my parents became Orthodox, so they didn't really understand. I'm not mad at them. I used to be mad at them for like many years, but I went to therapy and I worked on myself a lot in the past year and a half.
Sure.
But it's been, it's been pretty harsh coming from there, and it was easier, I guess, for me to leave, because I was like, like I don't feel connected. There's nothing that connected me to stay there. I wasn't connected to my
Right.
parents. My parents never talked to me more than do the laundry, do the dishes, do this, do that. Like my mom basically talked to me like I was her slave, throughout the whole childhood. And it's like, this is how it was. No love, no warmth, no good words, no encouragement. So it was easy for me to leave, pretty easy.
You felt like you didn't have any like attachments, I guess, there, whether it was emotional or physical.
Yeah, it was, yeah, no, nothing. No attachments at
And so
all.
then, was this like a small town in Israel, or because I mean, I've never been to Israel, and I assume this isn't. Is this is this rampant in Israel? Is this like just a small town where this happened, or is this kind of like pockets? Like, what does it kind of look like?
So where I grew up, it's like a very, very small city in Israel that no one really goes in and out. It's like you live in a bubble. Even people from Israel, when I tell them, they're like, "Oh wow, like I've never been to that city, but everybody knows about this city, but no one really goes in there." And sometimes it's very hard for me to get along with Israelis, because they think they know where I came from, because they always hear about this city and they hear about those crazy extreme religious people, but they don't really know how it is, because it's not how it seems like from the outside. Being inside, it's completely different. It's like it's a whole different world. It's like completely different, and it's very small percentage of Israel, um, in Israel, that people are so extreme. There's a lot of religious people, but
Okay.
they're more normal religious people. Like they join the army and like they do like normal stuff. But where I came from, they're even against the army. Like they don't go to the army. They're against their own country, basically.
Well, and so we could transition to that because I know that every Israel needs to train in the army for a certain number of years. I'm not sure. So, in your process, I guess, where are we at? 14? You said you left. Is that what? How did that? Maybe before we get to the army, how did that all happen? Were you 14 whenever you like left your hometown, or like how did that whole process come about?
Yeah, so when I left at 14, so first of all, like the way I left, it was like I didn't want to be at home. I didn't want to be in this country, in this little city, and I didn't want to be with my parents. We did not get along, as simple as that. So it was like, and they didn't want me there. So it was like kind of like we shook hands. Bye. Like it was great being with you all. I'm out of here, and it was great. I just wanted to get out of there, and they didn't want me there anyway, so it was easy. So
That's crazy.
yeah, and then like I was in dorms for 3 years. Uh,
Real quick, how old were you? How old were you when this happened?
that was when I was 14. So right before high school. So basically for high school, I left. And I did high school
Okay.
in like dorms, which is like boarding school, I would say. But it still was
Okay.
like religious. It was still religious. I went to like religious schools for like 3 years. Every year was like a little less, a little less. I was there for like the first year. I was like after the first year, I was like, okay, this is too much. I can't do it. And then I went to like a little less religious school. I was like, after a year, it's too much. I can't do it. After another year, too much. I can't do it. And then I said, you know what? After 3 years, I was like, I think I got the idea. I just don't think this whole thing is for me. I just don't think, I just, I'm free spirit. I don't want to be like told what to wear. I don't want to be told like be at home at 8 p.m. and you can leave. And I don't want to be told anything. Like I just want to do whatever I want to do for once. And that's when I decided I left, that I'm leaving, and I went to live with my grandparents in it's a little city next to Tel Aviv, and also next to where I'm from, which called Bnei Brak. It's not gonna say anything to anyone, but if you want to look it up, it's like
Yeah. Get it
um,
out there.
and
I'm interested to see where it is on a map. I'll check it out.
yeah, if you type Bnei Brak in Israel in Google, and you'll see in the images, and you'll see like photos of like the kind of streets and the people that's in there, you're going to find really interesting people that's wearing really interesting stuff. It's like
How do you spell it?
uh
Nabr.
Bene, and then space Brak. There's not really like and then you can type Israel, and then it'll find it. So if you look at the
Okay.
photos, you'll see like funny people and a bunch of kids, and that's like the thing there. That's their thing.
It reminds me of like the Amish. I grew up in Pennsylvania and like in the middle, but I'm obviously not. I'm sure there's a bunch of different religious things there, but it definitely like the way they dress and everything.
Yeah.
It looks like the closest thing I could relate it to is like Amish
Yeah,
and
it's pretty it's
Central
pretty
PA.
true. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so okay, so
Yeah,
so
so
to get back to my original question, right, was what was the first thing that you wanted to be? I'm guessing, by the sounds of it, you were never asked that question. It sounds like.
no, I never did. Never did. Like the way I just honestly like what I like as growing up, the only thing I wanted to be is not religious. I just wanted to be free. Literally, like this is what I always was dreaming about. I remember playing with my sisters, like, games like, like kids playing, and I was like, we were playing that we're not religious, so we would wear short like t-shirts, because we weren't allowed. We had to cover our elbows. So we were wearing like
Okay.
short sleeve shirts, t-shirts, and that was my dream. Like I just wanted to be non-religious. That's what I wanted to
Wow.
be. Yeah.
That's pretty crazy. That's definitely a first for this show.
Yes.
Well, so then it sounds like you started pursuing that, right? Because then you went and you left your house, which I guess didn't even really feel like home to you. And then you moved on and you went to boarding school, which sounded like it had a lot of religious ties to it as well. Is there a reason that, well, if you wanted to not be religious when you were a kid, is there a reason that is there a reason you still went to boarding school, although there was a religious component to it? Is it,
Only
no?
only because I was under 18 and I couldn't
Okay.
go anywhere I wanted, so my parents had to sign. And my mom said she preferred that I'll be in the street than in non-religious school. That's what she said. She said like
Oh,
crazy
wow.
things in the past. Like she said
Wow.
she said a lot of crazy things. Like another thing she said, I'm just gonna say it real quick. Uh my younger sister, she had like some mental health problems. She was like in and out of like a mental hospital. And my mom said she prefer her kids to be like crazy than non-religious. That's pretty much what she said, and that's
Jeez.
what caused me to not talking to my mom for 4 years, to my parents, both of them. Now I'm good with them,
So
but it was like there was like 4 years that I did not speak to them at all.
I mean, as awful as it sounds to hear, I mean, it sounds like that was probably what maybe both of you guys needed at that time, was to kind of get a little bit of space to. So I guess, is there the light at the end of the tunnel? Is that you're talking now and it's a little bit more
You know,
friendly?
and it's only because, yes, but it's only because I've been through a lot of I've been working on myself a lot in the past year and a half. Like I have my therapist, and she's been guiding me through. I've changed a lot in the past 2 years, a year and a half, and I just realized that me being mad at my mom and not talking to her, it's the only one who's suffering from it is me, because she has 11 kids and she's so busy. I don't think she cares. Like she's so deep into her religion that I don't think she cares. Of course she does, because she's my mom, after all, but I mean, at the end of the day, it's for me. I'm the one who was growing up without a
Right.
mom, and probably I'll never have a mom figure, like, and it's okay. I know that this is what I got in life, but I try to look at the positive side of it, and think about, hey, but this is what led me for who I am today, and this is what's gonna make me achieve everything I want for who I am, and everything is thanks to that. So this is my journey in life, and it's good. It's all good,
100%. Yeah, no, that's I think that's the best way, the most optimal way
Mhm.
to look at it. I mean, that's fantastic that you have that point of view, and it sounds like there's like a lot of power in that, in how tragic it was, right? It's like, I can relate, because I feel like in the last year I've also kind of had all these like different like epiphanies about my life, and these like whole like, oh shit, like that's what, kind of that meant, or like that's what I needed to learn that I've been suppressing. And I'm hearing a lot of similarities, and I guess, it sounds really empowering that you kind of found, within the hardships of your past, you've been able to transform it and see the light on this side of the table.
Yes, I'm very grateful, because I've always been like a super positive person, and I always felt like there is some kind of higher power, angel, universe, like whatever it is, that's kind of guiding me through life. That everything bad that happened in my life eventually turned out to be like a really good thing. And I just noticed that, but I never believed. I was never spiritual before, like until a year ago or a little more, because I always connected spirituality to religion, and religion is my enemy, right? This is what put me in a
Right.
cage my whole
Hmm.
life. So I always connected it together, because this is what I learned as growing up. And then in the past year, I found spirituality in a different way, in a way that's like the universe, like this is the energy, like this is what I believe in, this is what I felt that clicked, this is what clicked to me. And I was like, oh my god, the
Right.
universe protects me, the universe leads me in the right direction, the universe shows me the way. And it's just like the more I say it, the more I notice it, the more it happens.
I mean, I think I can completely relate to that. Like I've always kind of put religion, whether it be, Jewish, Christianity, Muslim, all into that spirituality, all into that same bubble of religion. And I think I saw a quote, and it was kind of along the lines of like, religion is for the masses, spirituality is for the individual. And that kind of like really shaped like really warped my perspective of it, almost, where I kind of came full circles. Like, it's like this, you know, religion is almost, there's almost an element of control, which I'm sure you could feel in your upbringing, that it's used to almost to kind of, satisfy the masses, versus like spirituality is more like going within yourself to find that truth.
Yes, it's fear. In religion, it's fear. It comes out of
Yeah,
fear.
that's
You got to
true.
be afraid. You got to be good, because if not, you're going to go to hell. It's threatening, right?
All right. Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, it's always, I always heard threatening growing up, like, oh, when I had like fights with my mom, and I would like threat her as a kid, oh, one day I'm going to come with like tank top and shorts. Like, this is how I would threat her. And she would tell me, okay, that's fine. You're going to go to hell. Like, and I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
you can't, never mind,
All
you know?
right.
Didn't work.
No, I mean, You almost got her. But no, that's a very good point because I see that, and to stay away from individual politics, like I see that a lot, just like in our news or political landscape. Like anyone, and even let's just abstract it out even further. Anyone that's kind of like looking for power, almost, they have a tendency 9 times out of 10 to use fear in order to get people to do or conform to what they want.
100%. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, without getting too deep into that, so let's get back to you. Let's get back to what you were up to. After your third boarding school, you ended up realizing that it wasn't for you, or like what happened after that? Did you turn 18 and you were able to make your own decisions?
Yeah, so after that I joined sorry, before that I went to live with my grandparents, which
All right.
they were traditional, but they never like they were never religious. It was a year, an interesting year. Like I was, I started working when I was 16 as a server, and sometimes I would go back home really late, living with my grandparents, and my grandpa was really old and he would lock me out of the house many times. So a lot of times I was like, okay, thank God I have friends, because otherwise I would sleep in the street.
On accident, I assume,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
Okay.
not on but I had some friends that came from the same background as me that they had to sleep in the streets, not for the good
Oh,
reason.
really?
Yeah, but luckily for me, I had a lot of friends, and sometimes I would just crash by my friends to, to sleep. But yeah, so I was there. While I was there, I was also going to like a school that they do the kind of like GED, in America, but it's called different
Hmm.
in Israel. So just for that, just because I wanted to be at school and I wanted to study, and I couldn't go to like non-religious school because my mom would not agree. And after that year, which was basically the last year of high school, then usually people in Israel, they go when they turn 18, they go to the army, the military, the IDF, which is Israel Defense Forces. And so I wanted, especially like, okay, the religious people, they don't go to the army, especially not the super extreme religious people like where I'm from, especially not the women.
All
No
right.
way.
Is there like a loop? Is there a loophole with like the government? Because it's mandated, right, by the government that everyone needs to serve at least a couple of years. So is there like a loophole if you're super
Yeah,
religious?
like they don't even talk to you about it. Like you're good. Like they're gonna it's a religious country. At the end of the day, it's a religious country. And the religious people have a lot of privileges that it's again, it's politics, and I'm not going into politics ever, but they get
Sure.
whatever they want, okay? And if they don't want to go into to the army, they will get it. They know how to get what they want. So I wanted to be like a normal person in Israel and have like normal life and be socializing with normal people. And I went to the place where you get a pass for from joining the army, and I canceled my pass because for me, as coming from religious background, especially as a woman, I automatically get a pass, like no questions. So I went there and I canceled it because I said I wanted to go to the army as a normal person in Israel. So, and it was the second best decision I've ever made in my life. The first one was leaving my parents' house when I was 14. The second one was joining the army because it taught me so many things, like, discipline and all that. Like, it's army. But yeah, so I joined when I was 19. And I was a lone soldier. So because I didn't really talk to my parents, lone soldier, it's a soldier that gets more support from the army, where it's usually soldiers like that don't have their family, like the back of their family. It's either soldiers that came from like different countries, that they're Jewish and they came from different countries to serve in the army, or if their parents are crazy, or if their parents are religious, or if their parents are, it's just like there's a lot of different kind of lone soldiers. So
Sure.
my reason was because I came from a religious family.
So that there was a piece in there where you were talking about like structure and discipline that came with the army. I mean, it sounds like in your childhood growing up, you had a lot of structure and I guess discipline. How did I mean? I know one was probably in vein of religion, and the other one maybe is the army. But in your mind, how was that? How did the army provide you with the structure that was more, let's say, beneficial than whenever you were a child?
So it's actually a really interesting question. I've never thought about it because there is very like structure in the religion, but where I grew up, I felt like it's kind of like being in a cage. And in the army, it's kind of like discipline for life, get your shit done, if you want to work for something, go get it, there's no, you got to wake up at, if I want to wake up at 4 a.m., I get up at 4 a.m., like I'm gonna work for what I want, I'm gonna get what I want. And like whether like in the religion, like where I grew up, it's just like being in a cage. Like you can't see anything, you can't, everything is like a lie, and they're just like hiding everything under the rag, like, oh, don't talk about it, like just quiet, like there's a lot of things that are not, it's not like real life stuff, it's just they try to protect you too much.
It sounds like more like in your home, you were doing it for someone else versus the army was more like, okay, well, if you want
Yeah.
to do this for you, like here's the path.
Yes, exactly, you put it right. Yeah.
That's how you describe it, kind of.
Yeah, that's perfectly described. Yeah, this is how it was, and it was a great tools for the real life, and also great tools for me because I came from a small country, like a small city that no one goes in and out, and I never got to see the country of Israel. I never got to be friends with like regular normal people. So in the army, I got to do all of that because I was a operational driver in the army. So I drove like the Humvees and trucks and the Jeeps and all that. And I got to see the country because I was a driver. So I was all over the place. I was everywhere, and I
Oh,
was,
that's cool.
yeah, that was pretty cool. That was pretty cool. Yeah, it was like
So did you just kind of drive up and I mean Israel I guess isn't too big, but were you always just kind of like driving around the perimeter of it or like throughout it? What was your kind of like mission to what were you tasked with driving?
yeah. So I was operational driver in artillery base for officers industry. So whoever became an officer in artillery branch in Israel went through our branch. And I would go with them to the field, and we would do like exercises in the field. So sometimes it would be in the south, sometimes it would be all the way in the north, sometimes it would be like around our base, all over. Like it just depends on the exercise.
Okay, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And so then were you able to choose that specialization as you joined like the army? Did they kind of like you joined and then were they like, okay, you need to pick like a subdivision, or did you kind of just get placed as a artillery driver?
So I didn't really know what I wanted to be. Like I wanted to be a warrior, but like a fighter, a warrior, a fighter, but a warrior.
Warrior
Like
sounds more badass.
yeah, it's okay.
Tell
But
people a warrior.
okay. But like it's just for in order for me to be a warrior, I had to sign for 3 years, and I did not want that because I always knew that I want to come here to the US and start my life here. And I was like, okay, I don't want to waste another year for doing that.
Fair.
So, and also, where I came from, I didn't really have like all this privilege of choosing whatever I want. It's just kind of like will choose for you, and I was like, okay. So then it turned out to be really good because coming from where I came from, like especially women, that we don't do driver's license, like you don't get to do that. And in Israel,
Oh,
it's just something that usually your parents help you with the driver's license when you turn like 17. And in my case, that didn't happen. That wouldn't happen ever. So it was
right.
good, and I got some driving skills from it. So that's good. But yeah, like it's they put me where, like they put me in that position, and then they chose for me like that I'm gonna be in artillery base. So like in the basic
Okay.
training, I was like with all the other people that went to be like drivers, but they split us like in different bases around the country.
Just wherever, it ended up getting put.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. So then I guess, did you always know that you wanted to come to the US?
Yes.
Was it like during that time you figured it out, or when was the first time you were like, I need to get to the United States?
I think it was when I was in seventh grade.
Oh, okay. So you would have still been at your parents' house at this point?
Yeah, because like I said,
Okay.
my dad is from America, so like I have my father's side in the U.S. and my sister, my brother-in-law, they've been living in the U.S. since 2008. So I always knew that I want to be like with that side of the family because I knew that for me, I have nothing in Israel, like nothing. I have no like I even if I'm in Israel, like I'm not connected to the people there. It's there's just too much of a big gap. It's like where I'm from and where like with these Israel like with the Israelis in general, like it's just there is like too much gap between me and them. Like it's just like it's we don't get along so well. Like I don't really get along with the Israelis because my background is very different than most Israelis, you know?
Yeah, you kind of alluded to that at the beginning. Are you able to like kind of explain that a bit more? Is it because they have a certain idea about who you are and whenever you tell them about being Orthodox?
Yeah. So most of them are very like again like not everybody's like different and there's so many different kind of Israelis and so many different but it's either that they came from a super you know rich family and like they went to school and they have like degrees and they you know they did this and that and it's just like I'm just not like I'm more like I had to work for everything I did, you know, with my own hands. And or either they're like kind of religious and they don't understand why I'm so against the religion and like why I'm so like they're like, "Oh, you know, you the religion is great and what are you talking about?" Because they experienced it in a different way. They experienced it in way more chill, laid back way. They did not no one told them don't wear those socks, you know, like small things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just different, like they just don't get like where I'm from. They assume they know exactly where I'm from but they just don't. So it's
I
tough for me
see.
to try to explain it because sometimes I feel like they don't listen, you know.
Yeah, at a certain point, it's too much effort at a certain point to actually even try to get it.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah, so then I guess you finally made it to America. What was that after you graduated from the army?
So as that was the third grade, the best thing I've ever done in my life,
That
moving
was
to
number three.
America. Number three. Number three was there's five things in total. Uh,
Okay.
the number three is it's definitely moving to America. I moved to Arizona. I was there for like a month, and I tried to do this thing where like a lot of Israelis do that they sell like cosmetic products and you know in kiosks at the mall, and it's just basically selling stuff that I don't believe in and it was very hard for me to do it because I don't
Sure.
I'm so bad at selling stuff that I don't believe in. Like it's
Sure.
just not I'm suffering doing it. So I just after a month in Arizona, I just decided to move to Vegas, which this where I had my two of my sisters. So I moved to Vegas. I was with them and I started working as a server. I was and then I went up to like
And
manager.
real quick, what sisters would this be from Israel who you like were born with? They move out as well?
Yeah, they moved out. They moved before, way before me to here. One of them, she moved like 8 years ago, and the other one, she's married and they have a daughter, 12-year-old, and they moved here like 15 years ago. They've been actually,
So
yeah,
okay.
15. They've been married for
So they
15
both are
years.
older than you. So they both would be your older sisters.
Yeah, one of them is 7 years older than me, and one of them is 3 years older than me.
Did they have like a similar, I guess, falling out with your parents as well, or no? They got through the system.
So different. Everybody's so different. My sister that's older than me than in 3 years, she was my mom's favorite. She was my
Oh,
favorite kid. And that was like we were growing up, we were very close, but we were very like we and I talked about it with my
butt
therapist
heads.
like the other day. Like the last time I talked to my therapist was about her. And just our relationship is so interesting because we were so close, but we were so jealous of each other. And I was thinking about it and I think it's because like that I was my siblings favorite and I always had friends but I was my mom hated me the most and she was the opposite. Like she was like my mom's
Uh,
favorite but she was not like the kids didn't really like her. growing up, and that's why we were jealous at each other so much, and we would always like fight like crazy. And we didn't really get along until I moved here, basically. Now she lives like an hour north from me, and now we developing our relationship from the beginning in a better way because we both made some work, you know.
That's good. I mean, that's awesome. I mean, it's something with like the work is like once you start doing it, it feels like everyone around you starts to kind of, lift up as well.
Yes, yes, yes. It's exactly what my therapist always tells me. She tells me like the external stuff has nothing to do with you. Like it's all coming from you. Like everything else is still the same, but you see it different because you approach things differently. The triggers that used to trigger you and you would react in a certain way, they don't trigger you that much because you're aware of them. Like you know what's going on. You're aware, you know?
Yeah, it's like there's a really good picture I saw where it was like two guys, and it was kind of like a side profile, and there's two guys that were looking at like a bee, and the one was like afraid that it was going to like sting him, and then the other guy was like kind of like seeing him as like, oh, it's a bee, like he creates pollen and flowers and makes honey, and then the other guy's like, oh shit, he's going to sting me, and like da 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 da.
Yes.
And so it's like it's just how that like shift. I mean, it sounds like you have a pretty good therapist.
Oh, my therapist, she's amazing. She's amazing. She changed my life. Like I cannot believe, like I think that this is so important. If you someone that needs help and you know that you're struggling with some things in life, I feel like this is so important to get a good therapist. And it's not a bad word, and I love sharing about it, and I feel like I I came ready to make to get the work done, and I came to work and to really work on myself. But when I came to my therapist, I came with list of maybe three things. I told her I want to be better at communicating. I want to learn how to say no to people, and that's just basic stuff. And then the more I went deep into it with her, and I realized how much I need to work on, and it's addicting. It's so addicting to work on these things, and then you fall like I realized that
Yep.
I never even knew what loves feel like what love, the actual feeling of love something or someone. I never knew how it
Yeah.
feels like, and I learned to feel it, and it's amazing because now I can feel it towards
All right.
anything, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I can relate with that on a lot of levels. The first thing, like, what got me into it was like the whole love aspect, and this is something I've kind of talked about, and I still try to keep the names ambiguous, but I was trying to find like a girlfriend, and a kind of similar thing happened where everything just kind of like flowed and was harmonious, but it ended up getting like shell shocked because I didn't really know what love was. I had that same, I think, mental block that you did, where it was like, where it was everything flowed, right? And it was like a month and a half. And then she said, what are we? And I like froze up because I didn't realize that what I was experiencing was like that flow of the universe that's just like, supposed to just kind of go with you. And it ultimately kind of crumbled. But then, through the way the universe works, that led me to talking with someone who was, kind of a therapist as well. And, she helped me to see like how I was like disconnected from myself with regards to like love and how it really shapes your perspective of the way you interact with the world and other
Wow.
people for that matter.
Do
Yeah.
you remember the moment that you felt love for the first time? I'm curious.
I mean, I guess that's a good question. I think I have felt it before, but I never like consciously was like, oh, like that's, like love, because I kind of had a warped perception of it because I, you're told all these different things like you love baseball, you love your sister, you love your parents, you love, a significant other, you love yourself. And it's like my mind through some of the traumas I faced, it was like warped and it was like, well, okay, well, like, how are you supposed to love those differently? Like, love is such just like a one word kind of thing, and yet we apply it to these magnitude of items. And so what happened with me is I haven't really gone in depth about it, but like I kind of went through my own sexual trauma, let's say, whenever I was a kid, and it warped my perception of love, where it was like, well, and I always kind of was consciously aware of it, but I never like really realized it was like, oh, like that's what has been impeding your ability to see love in all these different facets. And so to kind of get to your question, I guess it's funny. I guess when would I have felt? I mean, I guess after coming to that realization, I think I realized now that, even though, and this is really weird to say, but even though, I was only with that girl for like a month and a half, I think that flow of what we were in, was essentially love. I think that flow is essentially, the cornerstone at which you can build like a relationship off of. Now, we weren't at a spot to say like I love you. I was not even a spot to acknowledge it.
Well,
But I think that's kind of like the baseline of where like that relationship would have started or should start now. And then, you kind of have to build everything on top of that as to, trust and if we want the same things in life and yada, yada, yada,
yeah, it's so much work. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and that gets to your other point of like how it becomes addicting because I've now, you heal enough traumas, you heal enough shit in your life. I'm starting to think like, and just to see, whether it's, and we can transition this into like the fitness realm. It's like, when you're growing, when your muscles are growing, it's when they're sore, it's when the lactic acid's getting in there. It's when you're sleeping more. And so I had this whole realization where I was like, wow, like if I'm feeling like, shame, guilt, stress, anger, any of these like low vibration frequencies, I'm starting to see it as an opportunity to learn. It's like, okay, I don't, I guess the ideal goal is we're all at a place of enlightenment or of love or of peace. But if I'm feeling these negative emotions, then that means, oh, there's an opportunity to learn. And so to get to your point about how it's addicting, it's like I don't know how to say this, but it's like I'm almost like prone and ready for when there's something negative. I'm like, oh, okay, like what am I supposed to learn about that?
Yeah. Yeah, I really believe also what you just mentioned, that everything that we're going through life, it's actually, even when it seems like it's a bad thing, it's actually a good thing that came to teach us something. And just like and when you're aware of it, and this is what you see and this is what you believe in, that's really what it's going to become. Because it's crazy, it's just like sometimes I'm like, whoa, is this some crazy shit like happening to me, and then I'm like, okay, this is for something good, this is like the universe doing it for me, because it's for something good. And then it's just, this is how it is, like whatever you say, like the power of words and your thoughts, it's so freaking important, because it comes true, like everything you say and everything you think, it's gonna come true, whether if it's like something negative or positive. So I think it's super powerful, and we have to be so careful of what we're thinking. Even like when you, again, for fitness, if you want to lose weight but you keep looking at the mirror and you say like, oh my god, I'm so fat, oh, I hate this, like I hate my stomach, I hate like how my clothes fitting me, like, oh, I can't look at myself. And again, it doesn't matter what really happens, like actually, like it doesn't matter, like because some people can see you and be like, oh my god, you're so fit, you're so strong, you look so good, but if you see it in the mirror, that's what you're gonna see, and that's what you're gonna get. That's what you're gonna get if you keep saying that to the universe. The universe literally
Yeah.
gives us what we want. If what we say, it's like a servant, basically, whatever you say, it's you're gonna get. That's what you're gonna get. So it's like, we gotta be so. And I woke up only a few months ago to this, and when I did, I was like, whoa, this is mind blowing, because whatever you say, it's like it's you can literally create your life like that. It's crazy.
Hmm. I think and so I completely am on board with that. And I think what happens is people, at least maybe for myself, speaking for myself here, like you kind of get thrown off by it. Like if you say, I mean, the perfect example I'll use myself is 3 years ago, 2.5 years ago, I was like, I took a trip to Brazil. And I was like, this is so beautiful. Everyone here is so cool. I want to find a way to live my life such that I'm living anywhere I want to, like essentially live on my own terms, live where I want to live, be where I want to be, when I want to be there kind of thing. And, I think the issue we have, and this ties on like manifestation, is like we think that it's going to happen the next day versus it's like, no, the next day is like kind of whenever that whole process starts. And that's whenever like the universe is going to start exposing things to you, showing you like different layers of yourself. And it's like, it's like, here's getting to that goal you want, but you're going to have to go through all these like hoops and rings in order to get there. So if you really want it, like, I'll show you the way, and I'm showing you the way, but you have to be willing to, kind of confront those obstacles in front of you to get there.
Yeah. Yeah. And just let go of this, like, to hold, like, if you think some, because like the universe shows us the way in a way that we don't expect. Like we don't know what's really going to
That's a good way to
happen.
put it.
Like
Yeah.
we don't know what's gonna, like, how we're gonna get to the goal. Like all you can do is really, like, visualize your goal, like really think about it and feel it in your body, and like it's going to happen. Like there's no other way. And then just let the process happen, because it's gonna come to you in a way that you don't even expect. Like it's gonna come to you if you put it out
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't, it's almost like you get to pick the destination, but you don't get to pick the journey of how you get there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so that's something that I've actually been kind of like trying to figure out, is like, where's the level of like letting go and versus like setting attention? Because I guess I don't expect you to have this answer, but just as a thought experiment, it's like, there's the setting the intention, and then there's letting go of the. It's just like letting go. Like, how do you see this? Is it just letting go of the path to get to that intention, but still holding the vision of the intention?
Yeah, so the way I see it is like, I have my goals, and I have my morning routine where I work on it every single day, and I basically train my mind, because again, the mind is like a muscle. You can train it to literally anything. So I'm
Hmm.
training my mind to my goals basically. I'm training my mind to live in the state of, like, I want to live in in when I get to my goal. But first, sometimes I notice that I hold on too much and I don't let go. And then I have like different tools that I'm doing in order to let go of the things. So for example, I have this amazing woman that I'm listening to on YouTube. Her name is Sarah Shepherd or something. I don't know. I can look it up later, but she's basically has a lot of affirmations and like meditation, like guided meditation. So she's doing a lot of things like for different topics. So she has like a thing that and it's like 7 8 hours, and I go to sleep to hear that. So she has this thing, for example, for letting go, or to find your soulmate, or to manifest prosperity and abundance and all these kind of stuff. And it's kind of like sink into your brain while you sleep. And she has like an amazing voice, so it's really nice to listen to it when you go to sleep. And so sometimes I feel like I'm holding on too much, and I feel like I need to let go a little bit. So I listen to her and I do my meditation, and I'm like working on, I know that this is what I need to work on, to just let go, let go. Just trust the universe. The universe knows what's best for you, and just trust the process. Don't try to like push it through too much. Like it brings some kind of resistance. I feel it. Like I feel like there's like some kind of
Right.
resistance when I'm trying to hold on to something, that because I don't know how it's gonna come. I just need to know that it's gonna come. That's all. That's all.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy. There's a couple crazy things there. Number one is how you're talking about how, like, whenever you sleep, you listen to tapes. I actually recorded my own voice, like having all these like positive affirmations, and then there's like one, so I did it in sections. Like, one was about like wealth, one was about like the significant other, and then I made like a big one that's like all the things that I want.
Wow.
And I for a couple of nights I would like listen to those, and um, you know I I believe that they were helping. I haven't really done them lately, but just after doing it just one time, the sense of like peace, like there's like a level of just like peace that kind of fills you, of just like, oh, it's like I don't need to worry about it because like I already have it. It's like, what, like, and then maybe that's like the letting go aspect of just like, oh, it's here. So why am I worrying about it?
Yes. And I want to say something about it, because I feel like this is the secret of life. Like this is really what it comes down to, because honestly, even when you get to your goals, you're always going to have another goal, right? Like this is how we are as humans. We always want more. And really the thing is, and the most important thing is in life, is to really enjoy right now and be present in the moment. That's what my tattoo says here in Hebrew. It says now. It means
Okay.
just be present in the moment and just be aware. Like no matter what stress you have in your life and how you're not getting to your goals yet, but the fact that you're positive and you're happy and you like really present in the moment, and all these things don't matter, because at the end of the day, you're going through what you're going through right now. No one promised you you're going to be alive in 5 minutes, and the past is gone already anyway. So just focus on right now. Obviously, yeah, you want to have goals, you want to manifest them. It's very important, but I'm talking like putting all these movies about like the stress in our mind, like, oh, what if this gonna work? What if they're gonna say no? What if this? What if that? It's not helping anyone. It's just movies you create in your mind, and you basically create those things. Like, so just don't think about it. Just think like, take this thing, but for the other side. So take this thing for manifest your goals and your dreams, and just be present in the moment, because again, like, no one knows what's going to happen in 5 minutes. And it's so like, once you live like that, I see successful people, if you talk about money and wealth and all that, I feel like a lot of successful people, I mean, people that have like quote unquote successful people that have a lot of money, a lot of them are not happy. A lot of them are not
No,
fulfilled. They don't feel like they always want more, and they're like miserable. And I'm not saying all of them, I say a lot of them, but I feel
right.
like the one, if you haven't reached your goal yet and you are thinking like that in that way, and you are happy in the moment and you're present, you're already successful. I feel like, even though I'm not even close to my goals, but I'm feeling like I'm so successful because I'm so in peace with myself, and I found this peace with with my therapy and all that, and the growth and the spirituality, and I'm like, this is it, because we don't know what's gonna happen
Yeah,
tomorrow, like.
yeah, yeah. No, I completely agree with like a lot that you're saying. I mean, it's like the best way I've heard it described is like the eternal now. It's like, everything that has ever happened, that will ever happen, is happening at this moment.
Yes.
And it's like the past and the future are almost constructs that we've all just agreed upon at like a societal level of just like, well, you get older and die. It's like, well, the sun goes down and comes up. It's like, therefore, time exists. And it's like this weird trick that we've kind of played on ourselves. I believe as three-dimensional creatures that I think that we kind of gotten wrapped up in like in our mind. It's like, have you read the book like The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle?
Yeah, I heard about it. I don't think I read it. Oh, maybe I did. I don't remember.
Well, if you want to go deeper into this topic, that's a fantastic book that really dials into this. Like, and a piece of it that he kind of talks about is he talks about how, like, if you were to ask a plant or like a bird or, a dog, like, what time is it? They'd be like, well, the time is
Now.
now. Like, what do you mean time? Like, time isn't a thing, it all just is, and it all just is now.
Yes, that's so true. That's so true.
And it's kind of a weird thing to think about, especially when you're like, well, but I can observe that, like, because we can observe that things get older, things decay, they like move, but it's almost like, yeah, but it's just, I don't know. That's where I kind of get like tripped up a little bit whenever it's like, well, things decay though. It's like, yeah, but it's because of, like, honestly, like our interpretation of it. It's like, maybe here's a way. It's not that it's decaying. It's almost just like transferring energy states, I guess, where it's like, well, all that energy is still here and now, right? Like, no matter, no energy is created nor destroyed. And so if it's all of it already just is, then all it is transferring energy, but it's still just happening now.
Yes, yeah, it's I feel like time is an illusion in a way. But on the other hand, we always say that, when you start dating someone and things are going too fast, you say, I need more time. But so it's kind of like, it's very complicated, because there's a lot of
uh,
different things. Everything is one piece that made from so many different things, that this world is crazy, like, it's just
That's
crazy.
it's so funny. No, it's so funny you say that because the girl I was just seeing in San Diego, this was something I kind of always brought up to her and she's like, well, like time, like you need time. And I'm like, I don't like it doesn't click with me whenever it's like, well, what do you mean, like, we need more time seeing each other, before like this next step. You know what I mean? It's like, So that's so funny that you say that, because I kind of like hit the nail on the head of where I was just coming from. And it's so bizarre because like I agree with you and I understand that there's a level of like, getting to know somebody. It's like you can't just and see, here's the thing is like I guess I still don't fully believe in like that you need time. I mean, I get it, right? Because there's a level of like, and this is going to be one of my rambles, but sit tight with me. But like I understand, like, and nowhere in my right mind am I, well, let's put it like this, like time needs to unfold at our three-dimensional level at some aspect, right? Like, I'm not just going to meet someone and just be like, yep, we got to have a kid together. Yeah, he's going to be born tomorrow. And then, that's going to be our life, because there's still that level of time needing to unfold in our current awareness, in our current state of being. But it's like, but then, my other side of my brain kind of comes in and it's like, well, if you know that this person aligns with you, it's like, well, where, like what, like where are the boundaries of how much time needs to be for certain things, right? It's like, well, if you've been dating for a month, well, oh, well, everyone after a month does this, everyone after 2 years does this. It's like, well, now we're getting into societal constructs there, and that's not a healthy tool for measuring.
Yeah.
But if you told me you met someone one day and you got married the next, like, in my mind, I'm like, well, that's too fast. And it's like, but is it too fast? Like maybe, we go back to our earlier conversation, like maybe you needed that experience to realize that you did find the right person, or maybe like how do we know that those people wouldn't be happy for the rest of their lives together? But
Yeah.
just our societal constructs is like, well, they met and they got married the next day. It's like maybe they were both just so aligned with the universe that they could feel that that's what they both needed to do.
Yeah. And trust, again, trust the universe. So I have, first of all, I think when people say that they need time, or when there's like any kind of resistance about anything in life, it's usually fear. So I need more time. It's basically a different way of saying I'm
That's
afraid to
interesting.
commit. I'm afraid. So everything,
Afraid to get hurt.
yeah, everything is a fear. That's like when I go really deep with my therapist, like she always, like we always get to the bottom of things, and it's always fear. Even when you don't think about things like love, like food issues, like money issues, it's always at the end of the, if you go deep, 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 fear. You're gonna find some kind of fear there. There's always fear.
Right.
So I think is, I've dated someone, and he gave me like a ring after like 3 days that we were together. And I thought it was cool. But and I was gonna move to Israel for this guy. And it was crazy, and it was, everybody told me like, hey, it's you crazy. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna learn on my own. Like I'm gonna learn if something is wrong. I'm gonna learn. And I, because I trust the universe, and I really trust that whatever needs to happen, it's gonna happen to me. And it didn't end up happening. And it was like, he turned up like super impulsive, like tons of red flags person. And but because of this person, I started a therapy, and that's what led me to who I am today.
Uh,
So I got to be thankful for that person, even though he
right.
completely destroyed me, but it was a good learning for my life. So you don't really know. So thinking to overthink like too much of different things, like it's just you wasting your thoughts, or you waste your brain time on things that are not, you're not going to get an answer. And if you overthink things, it's just not, you can't really analyze things. Like you can never know. Just follow your gut. And if your gut is telling you, like a lot of the times I dated some guys and I was like, I don't feel like I should be here, I don't feel like I should do this. And I was like, that's it. Like, no, I'm sorry, I can't see you again, because I don't feel like, I just don't want to do something I don't feel like, I just don't feel like it's right for me. And other times I was dating someone, and like, and then I got to a point where, okay, I don't feel like it's right. So I mean, I always, and you always learn something, even if something bad happens from it. And it was like, trust me, it was bad. The thing with the ring, it was really, really bad. Like it led me to a point where I had nowhere else, like lower to go. I was in the lowest point in my life ever. And but again, that's what made me think about, okay, I need to take care. I need to get some help. And then,
Yeah.
it just led me to where I am now, and I'm so grateful for that. And that,
I mean, that's
yeah,
yeah, yeah. I mean, that's I guess that's the double-edged sword of this, right? It's like, I think what you're describing is like the dark night of the soul. Are you familiar with that phrase?
no,
No, so I'm not that familiar with it, so maybe I shouldn't be bringing it up. But it sounds like kind of what you had was like that whole like death and rebirth kind of thing that gets brought up so often, where it's kind of like you needed that, and it's hard to say like that sounds like it was a good thing for you, but it's like it's a painful process that you have to go through in order to find like the light on the other
yeah,
side of the tunnel.
yeah, 100%, yeah.
Man, well, that got pretty deep. Let's take it back to like a little bit more chill talks. So where we're at in your life story is it sounds like we're at where you moved to excuse me,
The
you moved to
US,
Arizona.
yeah.
Yeah, is this when you started, when did you start like getting into fitness? Was that probably around the time that you moved to Las Vegas or before?
It was in 2019, September to 2019, so about three, no, 18.
Yeah,
So about
or
three,
18,
it's about three and a
three,
half
4 years
years
ago.
ago, 3.5, 4 years
Okay.
ago. Yeah. Yeah, so when 7 years ago, I started eating healthy. I came to visit my family here in the US, and I used to smoke cigarettes because, everybody smokes cigarettes in Israel, and I was in the army at the time. And I came here to visit my family, and my sister told me, listen, Hannah, if you want to smoke cigarettes, you can't do it here. Like, you have to stop for a month when you come here, because we don't want that. Even when you go outside and you're coming back, like, we don't want this nicotine in our couch. Like, we just don't want that, so you're gonna have to stop. I was like, okay, no problem, I'll stop for like 1 month, and then I'll go back to Israel, and I'll go back to smoking like all normal. Like, I was not aware, and I didn't care, really. I just didn't care. And then I ate healthy for a month at my sister's, and I kind of liked it. I really liked the food, and it was really good. Like, I was like, okay, I guess I could do that. It makes me feel good, and I feel positive, and I feel better. I went back to Israel. I didn't go back to smoking. I started eating healthy, and then like a year later, like 2 years later, after I got out of the army, and I also was in a culinary school for a year after the army, like in Israel, and then I moved here. And then when I was still in Israel, like right before I moved to the US, I started working out as a result from eating healthy. So for me, it was usually it's the opposite. People start to work out, and then they start to eat healthy. So for me, I started to eat healthy, and then
Yeah.
I started to work out, and then I really liked it. Like, for the past 7 years, I really got into it, and I developed like this passion of working out. And 3.5 years ago, I said, okay, you know what, I wanna get certified, just because I wanna know more. I wanna learn. Even though if I'm not gonna do it for real, I just wanna know things, when it comes to fitness. I wanna be like, I didn't think I was actually gonna do it. But yeah, so I did it 3.5 years ago. I got my certification with NASM. So it's National Academic Sports Medicine, and I got it through Body Design University. It's like a 2 weeks live course in Atlanta. I went to Atlanta for it because I was afraid of my language being a big barrier, because it's like 700 pages book, the NASM, and
Oh
like
wow.
super high, language. Um, so I was like, okay, I need to be in a class
Right.
where I can, be better and learn better. So I went and I got it, and it was a good decision because it really helped me understand more. And I went and I did the test. I passed the first time, which people usually don't, but it's because I was really, like, I was learning it like crazy. And then I started
You're
work.
disciplined from your army training.
Yeah, but I was never good at learning. But in this
Yeah.
one, it was like, yeah, I was always a bad student. Like, I never
But this just
really.
all clicked with you.
Yeah, exactly. So I guess when you learn something you like, you can be good at it. But also,
It
like, I
just all
did some
flows.
tricks. Like, I would every 20 pages, I would do a little sign. I was like, okay, I'm just focusing on this today, and I took notes and I took quizzes, like on this app. So I learned it in a like in a good way that I can remember. And then I started when I got certified. I started working as a group fitness instructor for women. So I would train like up to seven women per class, and then I from there I went to Lifetime Fitness, and I started working as a
Huh?
personal trainer there, like one on one mostly. And then I went to another gym, and um and then COVID hit and they closed all the gyms, and I had no choice, again, like we talked about it in the beginning, and I had to go to virtual. So that was a good thing that happened to me. And a lot of my clients saw like an amazing results. Like I have one of my clients, she lost like over 55 pounds over Zoom training. And
Wow.
yeah, like you can get
Nice.
so much. And I found also that for me, I don't think it's for every trainer, but for me, especially for me, the virtual and online training works really well for me. Like I feel like my clients on online, they saw better results than the real life clients.
Yeah.
Yeah, for some reason. Like I don't know. I guess
You're
I'm
just like your
better.
mode of communication, or
I'm so good at communicating like this, like through Zoom and like online. And I'm very like, when I give a list of things, it's just very organized. And I'm just like, I found that this is easier for me. Like I can get, I'm more organized like that when it's online.
gotcha.
So it's yeah, it's been great. So, I've been doing that. And then I created, like last year, I created this 8 weeks transformation course. So it's like 8 weeks of 5 workouts a week. Every week has like every 5 workouts, it's like different workouts. So upper body, lower body, hit abs, full body hit, and active stretches and mobility. And every 2 weeks, the level goes higher a little more. And it's just like 8 weeks of you're gonna see results. No way you're not gonna see results. And
Yeah.
yeah, so it's like pre-recorded videos that that are edited. Now I have like a group of people that's doing it. So I'm
Nice.
excited for their goals and like for the results. And yeah, so now I'm working on creating like online programs that are through an app that you basically can go and do it on your own at the gym or at home with through the app. So the app shows you like exactly what exercises to do, how many reps, how many sets. And then there's my touch, which is what I give is like mental health stuff. I put a lot of mental health. I share a lot of recipes. I share a lot of if I read a really good book or I heard a really good podcast, I will share it there, for my people. Hey, listen to this. This can really help you with, I don't know, like manifesting something, whatever, anything.
Right.
So, because I believe it's all connected. Healthy lifestyle
Yeah.
is such a big topic. There's like so many different things under this, and I believe that it has to be whole, and you have to enjoy it and really enjoy it. Really, the food and the fitness and
Yeah.
just everything.
Well, I mean, like you said, it's all connected, and I think that even goes back to when we were talking about like the way I've been seeing pain as a sign of growth. It's like if even it's emotional or even if it's like physical from working out, it's like I feel like all those are signs of growth. And again, it's like it just shows that interconnectivity. I think of all of it. And that's cool that you do that.
Yeah, yeah, I love it.
So do you kind of connect like the workouts to like a mental health exercise as well, or how does that work?
So the usually when I do one-on-one, I'm very close on a very, very personal level to my clients. Like it's like a workout with therapy. And
Okay.
I bring my tools from my therapist to my clients, and I'm very, very close with my clients. And and if it's like through the group, I'm always sharing things, and I'm very open. Like I love sharing my experiences because I know it can help a lot of people, because not everybody has a therapist. And I
Right.
think it's an important thing. And it's mental health is the actually the base of everything. It's the most important thing, because you can be really fit and you can be super shredded and eat healthy, but you look at yourself in the mirror and you hate yourself. None of this matters, right? Like you can have like 12% body fat and you can eat healthy all day, but if you don't if you go on the scale and you go fuck, I hate you, like, oh, and you bringing yourself down, and you say like negative words to yourself, all of that now, like, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it all goes out the window because your body isn't going to perform well
Yeah,
because of that mental self talk.
yeah, exactly. And it's very, very important because, again, like, I mean, it's just, I always say, like, the scale, it doesn't matter. Like, the number on the scale doesn't matter. It matters. There's a healthy weight, so it matters. I'm not promoting obesity and like unhealthy stuff, but there's in the chart, there's like a healthy weight for men and women that you should be in. And it doesn't matter if you are after like a race, if you're racing this number on the scale that you want to see, if that's all you care about, this number, if you get to this number, most likely that's going to happen is two things. Either you are going to want a different number, or you're going to be like, okay, cool, I got to my number. Now I can go back to old habits. I can go back to eating pizza and have fun. And so that's not the point.
Hmm.
So the point is really to love yourself from within, basically. This is really the point.
Well, not to mention either is, you can chase that number, but it doesn't mean that you're doing it in a healthy manner. Extreme example is like being bulimic, for one, is
Yeah.
obviously extremely unhealthy. And two, I know that you'd be interested to probably look up this article, but there was a guy who wanted to like prove that he could lose weight only eating Twinkies. And he like spent 30 days like only eating Twinkies, but obviously being at a very low caloric deficit.
Oh, yeah.
And so he kind of did it just to be like, see, I lost weight eating Twinkies. Like, you can make these claims about anything. And then the question becomes is like, okay, well, even though you lost this weight, it's like the inside of your body isn't going to be healthy, or your mind isn't going to be healthy because of it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's definitely not healthy, and it's so important to for the long run, especially because some people, they eat and they don't gain weight, and some people, they, but at the end of the day, you got to think about the long run. You want to be
Right.
healthy, you want to be strong, you want to be positive, you want to have like healthy mindset, because it's all connected. It's all connected.
Right. Yeah. It's all connected. Um, yeah. Uh, I'm not really sure where to take it from there. It's all connected. Did we make it through your entire journey? You grew up in
I still
from
have two
growing
more
up.
things that
Oh
were
yeah, you're
good.
too important. Yeah, you're too important. You skipped. Did you skip over them, or was the last one's going to be getting invited on this podcast? Right.
That's gonna be the sixth one, yeah.
That's number 6. Okay, cool. Well, let's
uh
get. Where's the number? Where did number 4? We're at number 4. Where did number 4 show up in your life?
So wait, the first one was leaving my parents' house. Second one was join the army.
Yeah.
Third one was moving to America.
Right.
Fourth one is um.
Is it your diet or health related?
Oh shoot, I don't remember. Oops. I know the fifth one, the last one, is the moving to Austin.
Okay.
So it was a really good. Oh, the fourth one, it was COVID. Like, it was oh, actually, sorry, it was my therapist starting a
Oh,
therapy.
senior
Obviously,
COVID.
that's the biggest
Okay.
one. The biggest one. The
Okay.
fourth one is
To get that mental
starting.
health.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That's what woke me up. Literally, like, just that gave me like a like slam into my face. It was it
Yeah.
really woke me up. And
You
and
really
and
look into
and
the past.
and once I saw, like, sometimes I would go, because life is about waves. Sometimes you go up and down, and it always happens. Doesn't matter who you are, doesn't matter how positive you are and how you see life and how successful you are, it doesn't matter. Ups and down always gonna come. And sometimes when I had
Right.
downs, after I've been through my journey, like few months ago, um and I was like talking to my therapist, and I told her, like, it's just, I feel like I forgot who I was, and I had COVID also like a few months ago, and that really fucked with my mental health, like, really, really, like
Right.
I lost like who I was. I lost my mindset. I had like brain fog. I lost my motivation. I lost everything. And so I told my therapist, like, I told her, like, what if I forget who I was, and like if I'm going backwards, like, and she told me, like, you can't go backwards after you saw what you saw. After you've
Mm-hmm.
been through that journey, you did it. You did it. You still did it. It doesn't matter how you're feeling right now. So she always tells me that whenever a wave is coming up, a big wave is coming up, you're not going to stand up against the wave because the wave is going to crush you down, right? You're not going to try to fight the wave. So you have to put your head down, let the wave go by, and then you rise up again. And then it's all good.
That's a good analogy. Yeah, I always remember there's like the way I think of it is that progress isn't linear. Like again, and I think this kind of actually ties into our whole time discussion is where like in our mind we see time as being linear, which they're even proving that sometimes it's not linear. Even though we have like the seconds on the clock, the way you experience time is different how I experience time. Not to mention like your relativity to how far you are away from Earth also changes time. But without getting down that rabbit hole, yeah, the linearity of it,
For
you
that
know,
for that conversation, we're gonna need another 4 hours. I'm telling you, okay?
I'm open to it if
Yo,
we can
that
figure that out.
conversation is, oh wow.
Are you fluent in that conversation?
I go to pretty far places with that, with my meditations, and in my I just go literally like out of the universe, and I just have this theory like,
Well, I got you. I think just the other day I was able to access like my Akashic records. Are you familiar with that?
no.
Okay. Then explain. I don't want to make this about me. Let's explain what you were kind of going
First of all,
on.
I had a weird dream tonight. I was dreaming about something, and you know how I usually don't dream, but when I do dream, I dream like very like vivid dreams and like kind of like weird. I had a dream that my sister, she came into like she came to take me from this dimension, from this world, to like a different dimension or different like world, different like different place, I don't know. And it's like she's like, okay, once you go there, like you cannot come back here. And we went through this tunnel, and then it was like a whole world that it was like a kind of cartoon world. So we were in that world, and there was no such thing as money. Like there was no money there.
Really?
And just like we were just like hanging out there, and just like, and it was like cartoon, everything was cartoon. It was, I thought it was so strange, like this dream. And just like because it's crazy, because I tend to think a lot about like how this whole universe that we live in, that is endless, after
Yeah.
this universe, like we can be just a little something in just like some kid's backyard, this whole universe.
Yeah.
You can never know, like you can never know. It's just insane, like there's no. One time I meditated, and just I got to that, like I saw like I got like, so sometimes when I go really deep into my meditations, like I get thrown away like out of this universe. So the other day I did, like I had one of those, and I got thrown away out of this universe. And I know I sound crazy, but
No,
I
I'm listening.
like, it's like I came out, like I came out of this universe, and then like I saw like everything, all of this is in some kid's backyard, like in the grass, like something crazy.
Like almost like you were just kind of like I guess in a deep state of
Like an
meditation.
ant, yeah, like an ant in a whole different world. And you can never
Okay.
know, like
Yeah.
it's just like
It's
this.
it's crazy.
It's crazy. You can really never know. Like it's crazy.
I mean, I'm all down for a reality where money doesn't exist, though. How did that feel like?
That a reality that's what?
Where money doesn't exist?
Mhm.
Like, how did that feel? Like, how were people transacting in that?
Everybody's super chill, super chill. Like there's no
Everyone was just
stress.
chill.
There's no stress. That's the only thing I can. No stress. No negativity. No. Um.
It's just like if you needed something, someone just gave you it.
Yeah. Just like everything giving to each other. Um. Now I don't know. Like I think it's. I know that I have some issue with money. Growing up where I grew up, it just caused some issues, and I'm
Sure.
working on it every day. I'm still working on it also with my therapist, but I feel like and I also feel like this dream came. I love money, and I think it's a good thing, and I think it's a positive thing. It just depends where you take it, I guess. But growing up, I was told always that money is a bad thing. It's negative, and it's I
Mm.
remember my dad's face when I asked for like a little shekel, which is like like maybe like 50, like I don't know, like it's kind of like a half a dollar or whatever, less,
50
little less,
cents.
yeah, something
50
like that,
cents.
50 cents.
Yeah.
And and I asked my dad, and I used to see his face, and just like it's like it's so in my mind, like I remember this, like it's just like my parents always taught us that money is bad, and it's just like, so you grow
Right.
up like this, and you just always think that this is true, and which is not,
Yeah,
so
I mean it's to take it to a spiritual thing. It's like it's a vibration, right? Money is literally just a vibration, and so it's like if you're growing up being told to be in lack or scarcity of money, it's something that'll probably it it's going to evade you until you go in and are able to kind of heal that aspect,
yeah,
right?
yeah, 100%.
And hey, I mean, I'm right there with you too. Like I still kind of like overcheck my bank account too much. Like I look at it too often. Like a little bit of fear with it, and so. But at the end of the day, it's just that it comes down to that letting go and being able to set that intention of, I'm going to be making X dollars, and then just being okay with where you're at and realizing it's all happening now.
Yeah.
So then,
Yeah, this is pretty much what I'm trying to working on right now. We because and there's always something to work on. Always, always, always. Doesn't matter.
oh yeah,
I feel like, I got this. Okay, I got the hang of it. Now go to another thing. Like it's just there's always something to work on, and I feel like for me that this is what I'm focusing on right now. And like my therapist always she always tells me how being aware, it's already more than 50% of the process, because
yeah.
once you are aware of the issue, of the what's causing the trigger or the problem or whatever it is, once you are aware, it's already more than 50%. So, and it's very
It's
true
probably
because
closer to 60 or 70. Yeah,
yeah, exactly.
75 maybe.
Yeah,
Yeah, because it's just that, like, the way I see a lot of things in life is like an exponential curve almost, and it's like those like micro steps are like, okay, I feel that. What would be like a good example? Like with money, it's like anytime you hear money, right? I'm sure there's like a little bit of like a energetic like disturbance, right? Or there's that feeling of lack, and then once you actually start to like notice it, it's like that's whenever your exponential curve almost is going to start taking off with it.
that's so
At least
cool.
that's how I see it. That's
Yeah,
how I see it with anything that I've had. It's like anytime I've felt these like minor disturbances, whether it's, with, my past trauma with love or it's with money, it's like, once you realize that you have those things, like just that awareness of that negative energy, within your body, you can just, transmute it. Yeah. I mean, I don't want to say as quick as you want because there's a level of probably like being okay to let go of things and actually like coming into a new mindset. And there's a process, of course, right? But I do believe that like, you feel these like energetic disturbances. And then once you realize where that root is, that's when you start to hit that logarithmic. Okay, here we go.
yeah, yes, it's yeah, I definitely feel it when I talk to, because also that's what my therapist tells me about, like, when I have like an issue, and that's usually the way that she goes is like, where do you feel it in your body, like physically, like what do you feel exactly? What do you feel?
And
How does it?
you've got a good therapist. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, yeah, and
Might have to
then
ask you for her number.
she's from Israel. She's an Israeli.
uh, okay.
Yeah, I know. Like I have so many American friends. They're like, "Oh my God, who's your therapist?" I'm like, "I'm sorry, she's in Israel. Like she speaks Hebrew. Like I'm so sorry, but yeah,
Learn
she's
Hebrew just to
great.
work with her.
Exactly. So seriously, no, she's amazing. Really,
I didn't mean to cut you off, but so you were saying she tells you about like energy in your body.
I want to tell you a little story that we found out together
Please.
that's gonna blow your mind. So I always knew that I have issue with that I need to work on with money, love, and food. Okay, and
You just hit my big three.
and I just did not realize. Like I never knew. First of all, I never thought it's connected. Okay, because why would that be connected, right? And
hmm
then one time me and my therapist, like we dive deep into it, and then she basically, usually how it goes, she tells me close your eyes, and then think about what you're feeling. And then I'm like, I feel like a tornado inside my chest, or I feel like a little pointy thing like in my stomach or something, something. And then she asked me like, what how strong do you feel it from 1 to 10? I'm like, about 7. Sometimes it goes up and down. And then she says, okay, close your eyes and think about the first picture that comes into your mind. It can be any experience, it can be any person, it can be anything from your past. And usually the things that we going through in adult life, it's usually come from childhood, sometimes even from where we are like still babies, like inside of our mom's belly. I don't know how to call this thing. This
Womb.
a womb,
In the
yeah.
womb.
Yeah, in the
Yeah,
womb.
yeah.
So, which is crazy. It's another thing that one time she took me to a guided meditation to my own womb inside myself, like inside my mom's belly. That was intense. That was freaking crazy. Like that was
Yeah.
crazy. But that's for a different time. And
Well, yeah. Go ahead.
for that, like, yeah, so the first thing she told me, okay, what do you think about? And then I my first memory was like when I was about 10 years old, and I stole money from my mom, like shekels, to just basically I wanted to I stole money from my mom when I was about 10, and because I wanted to buy candies. And I always bought just candies. I never bought anything else. I would go to the grocery store, I would get a whole bag of candies, and I would hide it and I would eat it because that what gave me love, because I didn't get the love from my parents. So I ate it,
Um,
and I felt super guilty. Under those three, under the topic of guilt. I'm guilty
yeah.
to accept love. I feel guilty to accept money. I feel guilty to accept to I eat, and I feel guilty.
Uh,
And I would eat to feel that feeling of love, and I would feel guilty, and I would feel bad because I stole this money that it's not mine. I'm not supposed to do it.
right.
And so that's how
That's
it's all
crazy. No,
connected.
yeah, I see it. Like you weren't getting love from your parents or the attention, so then you were stealing money because you have the scarcity mentality from them. You'd use that scarcity mentality to go then buy food, which would then supplement the love that you weren't receiving, and so then therefore it would feed that cycle of, lack of love, lack of food, lack of love, lack of money, and so then you would just use that with food to supplement that cycle.
And it was
That's
all
pretty
guilt.
crazy.
It was all guilt. I always felt like I was doing everything, but I felt
Yeah.
guilty. I always felt like scared, yeah, it's crazy.
And maybe this is because I can relate to this because I know I have taken money from like my parents as well. And I know they listen to this podcast. So mom and dad, if you're listening, I'd like to use this time to admonish or
My
maybe
parents
heal
are
some of
not
that.
they're not gonna listen to it, but yeah.
They're not going to, they
No
don't
way in
have
hell.
these. But that'll be a conversation maybe that I think no, because like, yeah, I mean, it's so crazy. Like even just getting away with things was something I know I did. There was like this, it was like this bottle of alcohol that, uh, and I eventually told my dad, if my mom's listening, and maybe she'll finally hear this and hopefully she finds it funny, but she probably already knows. I mean, there was this bottle of alcohol, and how old would I have been? Probably like 14 ish, 15. And I don't really, I remember what the bottle was, but like I took it and then like poured it into a water bottle. And then like, I never even ended up drinking it, but then it became this whole, like, it became like a huge thing of like, who took the Kraken spiced rum alcohol. Like it became this huge thing. And it eventually got to a point where it was a joke, but like the guilt, like for some reason I had like this weird pleasure of the fact that I got away with it, right? Like it was just like this weird, like, oh yeah, I got away with it. But and then every time it got brought up, I like there was again this weird sense of pleasure that like I'm still like evading the what would you call it? Like I'm still evading it. Like I'm still getting away with it. Like it's kind of cool. But then it didn't hit me till like I don't know how long ago it was, maybe a couple months ago, probably a year, maybe it was a year ago. It kind of hit me, was like, well, although everybody it got away with everybody else, I still reported back to myself and I still knew like what I had done. So I was still carrying kind of that guilt and that shame, although there was like this weird, perverse like pleasure in it. I knew that I was still carrying it, and I think maybe like it was probably a couple months ago. I don't remember exactly when it was, but I eventually like told my dad. I was like, "Dad, like, I don't know how to tell you this," because he was the one that like really wanted to try this bottle. And I remember I was like, we were in the car, and I was like, it just hit me. It was like, you should probably tell him right now. I was like, Dad, I don't know how to like tell you this, but I need to be honest. But it was me that took that wrong. He's like, oh yeah, like I knew that, blah blah blah. I was like, okay, like whatever.
Also,
uh,
when you're a kid, like everything looks so big, like such a big
yeah,
deal. Like, oh my God, I can't believe I did this.
yeah, and I mean seriously, like there was like this pleasure that was like in like a part of me was like happy that like I was able to get away with this and nobody knew. I mean, everyone had like their suspicion of who it was and like whatnot, but there was no like evidence. And I don't know. To me,
Evidence.
it's just like, yeah. So this actually maybe turned into some like sort of an admission of guilt towards my mom because I know she'll listen to this at some point.
Now you'll have a talk
Um,
about it.
yeah, maybe I needed to release this like negative energy of, and I even forgot until you brought it up about like how you used to take some money from your parents. I completely forgot that I did that as well, and I don't even remember what I spent the money on either. I don't even know if I did spend it. I saved it. I don't, I don't even know what I would have spent it on. Maybe video games. I don't know.
There are so many things that we don't remember, and like, I mean, before I started my therapy, like I always ask people would ask me things from my childhood, and I was like, I have no idea. Like I have like a black screen. I don't remember what happened. I don't know anything. And then you remember things like the more you go deep into it and you talk about it, and like I remember things from when I was 6 months old now. Like it's crazy. Like I remember like from the therapy, like I remember crazy things. Like
Right.
yeah, it's just insane.
Yeah, I think there's especially, and this is just my assumption, is that I think what happens is in a lot of cases maybe the trauma becomes so malevolent that your body and mind essentially will kind of detach itself so that it's not like so that you're not a part of it, and it's almost like a defense mechanism, I think, to help you preserve some sort of identity on this earth. I don't know, some sort of identity in your human body. And so then you like separate, and so then you say you don't remember, but your body remembers, and that's where this kind of like trauma comes up. And then once you identify it, that's like kind of merging your mind back into your body to either remember or kind of heal these things.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like when I was probably 17, I did not think of bringing it up, but I'm gonna say it. So when I was 17, and it's 17, okay? I'm 27 now, so that's only 10 years ago, and you usually remember things when you were 17. And so when I was 17, coming up from where I came from, in that religion, like they separate men and women from age 1. So they put boys and girls like in different schools and all that. So I was like when I was 17, it's 16-ish, it's when I started talking to boys, and I never realized, like, so in the religion, like where I'm from, like there's a lot of pedophiles and a lot of like rape and things like that, where like and no one really talks about, because like you're not supposed to dirty the names of these people. Like, so even if someone knows about something, they would just shut you up and be like, oh, don't talk about it. So for me, it was like after I left my parents' house, it was like when I was 17, where I went to this guy one time, and I was like super naive because I never talked to any boys, and I was like, okay, like this guy really cares about me, and like he really like just want to be friends with me, and he had like a cool dog, and like us where I came from, like there's no such thing as dogs and stuff like that. So I went to his apartment, and he put something in my drink, and he basically did his thing, and I didn't know about it until like 2 years ago. I completely forgot until 2 years ago, and then I went deep in it with my therapist, and And then I remembered everything, and what you said about like how your body remembers, it's just crazy because it's like, I'm 27 and I've never been in relationships. Okay, I've been in like 2 months relationships, not too much, and I have this there's like something that's like stopping, like something that like fear that comes up. I think it's kind of connected, but also, there's a lot of things in it, but also where I came from, that um it's just like a lot of fear that comes up. But this is something that I think that is definitely connected to the love part that I talked to you about, that I feel guilty about like being loved or whatever. Also because I didn't get it from my parents, and when I thought that I'm getting it from, some guy,
Right.
I didn't really get it, So, um, but again, like I'm aware of it, and I'm working on. And again, like I didn't love myself. I didn't know how to love myself. I only figured it out like only like few months ago, how to love myself, how to really feel the love towards myself. And now that I feel the love towards myself, I feel like I'm getting there, I feel like I'm on the right path. I feel like I'm more whole. I feel like my center A6 is like stronger, and I feel like whatever, like I'm the love that I have towards myself. This is the bottom. This is where it ends, and this is where it starts. This is the base of everything. So
Yeah, like you feel more aligned almost.
yes, exactly.
Yeah, I can definitely relate to that feeling. Excuse me. Yeah, it's no, it's definitely crazy. I mean, wow. I mean, first of all, thank you for sharing that. Like that's wild. But yeah, especially like I guess I never realized it could even happen that late, but I guess it can happen at any time, like, that mental like kind of separation. Um, yeah, that's wild. I mean, I'm sure, and I don't know if this, I'm not really sure where to go with this, but something that it, like had me think of is, when you were talking about like kind of like inside the womb almost, how you went into like a deep meditation with that. Um, it was reminding me, and this is where I kind of was bringing up like the Akashic records. And I'm not sure if you're familiar with that, but in theory, what they are, I guess I believe in them now, is like it's this idea of like kind of like this next level, like a different density of energy that's surrounding us. Where, well, let's take a step back. Where do you stand, I guess, on like reincarnation? Do you believe like that's kind of like a part of this whole thing?
Yeah, 100%. I believe that all of us as humans, we are part of one energy, and our soul basically goes into our body to experience different feelings, to experience different emotions. Because our soul cannot experience physical feeling or emotions, and that's why our soul goes into our body, and that's where our body feels like physical feeling or emotions. And I think our soul, that's my theory, this is how I relate to it.
Yeah.
Our soul thinks it's funny, like it's funny, and it's like even when we experience pain and fear, it's exciting to our soul, because our soul is so excited to feel those feelings, that this is why the soul came into our body. So I feel
The
like
human
there's like
experience.
there's a soul and there's the body, and it's like two different things. So sometimes I do things that recharges my soul battery, and sometimes I do things that recharges my body battery, like ego, I would say. But
Yeah.
it's just like it's very different, but it's very interesting when you notice what's soul body. It's just like,
Right.
yeah.
No, that's an interesting way you put it, like with the recharging, like this is for the body, this is for the soul. I think we have to try to work that into a couple things. I like that. So where that takes this conversation is like the idea of your soul, which I'm on a very similar line of thinking as to you, where I personally am seeing it like that your soul, right? I guess you get to choose at some level. I'm not really sure where I sit on this, right? But like once the body dies, you like would what transcend and then get to pick what your next reincarnation is of some sort. And the thought process here is where I'm getting to with this is like, there's there's like this level of needing to reincarnate to keep like learning lessons that you need to learn in order to get to the next step. And I guess where I'm trying to get at is like I almost now don't believe that it completely stops like back to childhood, because I've kind of I've gotten to a point in my self discovery where I'm not sure that there's too many traumas left in this life to heal. And so I found myself discovering what were they called, the Akashic records, which is essentially this, let's call it unified field in the present now, that then has record of everything that has ever happened in the history of the universe. And so a piece of that, a very small piece, but an important piece, is where your soul has kind of been. And my understanding of it is that you're able to tap into this to then, access elements of your soul's history and see how they're affecting you in the present day. And I did this meditation online. And then this is where it gets weird and why I'm kind of shadowing some of this with doubt, is that I did this meditation where, you become very peaceful, and then you go into this library that has the Akashic records, and you get your book that's yours. And, I came into a very traumatic event, or at least what I saw was a very traumatic event that was affecting me. And I want to keep this, I'm talking about it. I guess I got to go for it. I had quite a bit of I've watched too much porn, I believe, and I'm on a path to get away from that because I think it's so terrible to actually just subject yourself to it. And, that's something that I've kind of felt that misalignment within my body. It's like, okay, you shouldn't be doing this, but now you're doing it. Like, don't do it, And so I used my entry into the Akashic records to see a past life of mine, to be like, okay, like, why is this genre of porn what I'm attracted to? And what I got met with was a whole story, or not like a story, yeah, pretty much a story of where and I guess I don't really want to go into the specifics here, but essentially what I got from it was that in a past life that I saw, let's say terrible things sexually happened to my wife, and I was forced to watch. And I was like, well, why did I have to watch this? And it kind of flashed back to me talking to a king. And I guess I lied to the king because I was afraid of what was going to happen. And so then the king found out that I lied to him. So then he had his guards do terrible things to my then wife.
Oh
Now,
my God.
where,
Well,
yeah, it
that's
was
insane.
so insane. And where I'm at is like, I don't know, I guess, and why I've kind of put this like shadow of almost a little bit of doubt on it, is that I don't know if that's just a story that I'm telling myself in order to I don't know how to take that as like, well, yeah, that's what actually happened in a past life, or is that a story that I'm creating in order to justify, but not, I don't want to say justify, because I've found a lot, and this actually happened in the last like 3 days. Um, and so I feel like a lot more at peace with like the absence of like going into, open up porn, for instance. Like, I have so much more peace with like actually a lot of elements of myself, especially with maybe some negative thoughts I've had about females in general. Or does that kind of make sense? So I'm not really sure. Like, what I experienced was extremely real, but I don't believe that I made any of it up, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But I I don't know if it was just a story I told myself, or if it like actually happened in the history books of human history. Does that make sense?
Yeah. You know what? Something my therapist always tell me, like when I'm like thinking that, I'm like, oh, I don't know if it's true. I don't know if like maybe I'm coming up with something, I don't know here. And she says like if you think of it, then you think of this, it's there, it's there. Like it's you don't make up even if you make up stories, there's a reason why you make that story up. You know what I mean? Like it comes from
Yeah.
somewhere. And I don't believe you making it up. And I really believe in like past life stuff. And I believe like that you can really, there's like a lot of different things that you can do to really go deep into it. A lot of people don't really want to go deep into it.
I completely understand why.
It's yeah, it can
It was
be
not fun.
it can be kind of fucked up sometimes. Like my
Oh
grandma
yeah,
used to do hypnosis, and she would go to her past life, and she has a story of like how her mom died because of her. And there's like there's some crazy stories. I definitely believe that it's real, and we have past life experiences, and a lot of who we are in this life, it's because of things that happened to us in past life. Like a
yeah,
lot of things that we the way the way we act and the way we are as people, a lot of things is because of past life. But I don't think you make up something like that out of nowhere, you know what I mean?
yeah. Because
Like
it was kind of like, yeah, yeah, and you know what it probably is? It's probably me doubting my, let's say, my abilities to connect with a higher source. Is I guess that's the first thing I think of whenever I think of why I would doubt. It's that feeling of worthiness. Wow, which is another trauma that I've had to heal in my life. Is it's like that feeling of like, well, why would I be able to access this history of my life? It's like what makes me worthy, and it's like, wow, that geez. So that's probably what's causing that doubt is that lack of feeling worthy to be able to do that in the first place. Damn.
your soul is awake. That's probably why. When you're awake, like if you're asleep, you're not gonna get to anywhere near it. Like I mean, I was asleep until like 2 years ago, and even a year and a half ago, and the past year and a half I've seen some crazy stuff that I never thought in a million years that that I would experience. And it's only because I woke up. My soul is
Yeah.
awake, and when your soul is awake, you're going to keep experiencing things like that. That's just the way I see it. I believe in that.
I
People I
think there's a
see.
lot of truth there.
Yeah, I mean, I see people that their soul is awake and they have like crazy stories, quote unquote, or like things like that. I definitely believe those stories because um when your soul is awake, you go on deeper levels. You just go deeper.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you go into past lives.
Yeah, and it's real. I mean, again, like I believe that people. I don't want to say it in a kind of like rude or bad way. Just like I believe that people that don't believe in those kind of stuff, they are simply not awake yet. Because I mean, I was there. I never experienced that before, and and some people are not waking up like never. You know,
Yeah.
I know some people like that, and I almost feel sorry for those people because like when you are awake, it's like it hits a whole different level of life. Like it's because it's everything. It's everything. You don't leave the little bubble of life that you live in. You just see everything from zooming out. You see the whole picture.
Hmm.
You see the everything, and it's such a good thing. It's such a good
Yeah.
thing.
You get like this 50-foot view of like, oh, like someone acts in a certain way. You're like, oh, I know why that happened. Or like, oh, this happened. Like, oh, I know why that happened. And it's like, it's so, even in situations that you've never been a part of, like, I remember, and this was probably like 6 months ago or something, but we were talking about some famous person who was, oh, Versace. I don't know how much of you know about Versace, but he essentially was killed by some guy. He basically got introduced that he was killed by some guy, and then my mom was like talking about how like Versace was gay, and then I was like, oh, I was like, was Versace the first guy like that this was Versace the first guy that this guy killed? And she was like, no. I was like, were the other people gay as well? And she was like, yeah. And I was like, oh, so like, did this guy probably? And because she was talking about some documentary, and without even seeing it, I was like, oh, so was this guy probably also gay? But he was like from a young childhood told that being gay was wrong and like a sin. And she was like, yeah. How did you know that? I was like, just a random guess. It's like, I guess it's not random. It's just like, it's like these patterns are just kind of built in, and you can kind of just see them once you take the ego out of it. Once you don't hold space for judgment, or like it's like just acceptance or something. It's like this, just, it's like compassion mixed with acceptance mixed with just like taking a step back and just allowing it to be, or like just viewing it as it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. 100%. Yeah.
I didn't
Wow.
expect us to get down this deep of a rabbit hole.
That's really deep. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's good. It's good talk. It's like
Yeah.
a therapy session for
Yeah,
both
I
of
mean,
us.
no, for sure. I definitely felt like at some points right there where we were talking about, yeah, whenever I was talking about like my parents with like the money and now the alcohol thing, I think that was like a therapeutic. I'm gonna have to poke my mom, and be like, all right, yeah, go watch this because I can't.
Go watch it. Like,
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
I'm gonna hide over here.
Yeah, take a second.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess wow. Yeah, I'm kind of lost for words at this point. Did we get to your 4 and 5
Yes.
best things?
Yeah,
Yeah,
4 was the
a
therapy, and
therapist,
5 was moving to Austin, which was like
moving to Austin.
completely opened my soul. Like I felt like my soul was kind of like off in Vegas and just like not my kind of people. And then moving here definitely helped me to thrive and be like around my kind of vibe, you know? Just the city has
Yeah,
something that's amazing for me.
no, I can certainly relate to that idea because I mean I was in San Diego for 4 years, and then I've now been in Porto Alegre, Brazil for a month, and it's just like I can feel that like I mean I'm sure there's a mixture of feelings where or I know there's a mixture of feelings. Like this is the first time I've ever lived by myself. This is the first time like I've been to a different country by myself. Like
Wow.
so many first times. Oh yeah. And so I know for sure that like that has an element of it. But to relate to what you're saying is I can tell that there's also just it's not like the final resting place, you know? It's like not like it's not it. It doesn't have that like it factor that I know San Diego did on my, soul.
Yeah. It's so important. The that to feel it, it's really important.
All right. Well, cool. Oh, and then of course the number 6 thing, which was obviously
Coming on this podcast, of course. I knew it.
not trying to say it. But Hannah, this was awesome.
Yeah, I'm happy you invited me. That was great. That was really good.
And I'm thinking about it now, and I'm not even sure. Like, I mean, nothing against you, but I don't know like what called me to do it either. It was just like I saw that you're doing a podcast as well, and then it was like, all right, she's into fitness, and then I was just like, all right, I'll shoot her a message. Like, I
Yeah,
don't
I'm glad
know,
you did.
it's weird.
It's
Yeah.
yeah, my podcast is a little different. My podcast is more about like healthy lifestyle. So I talk a lot about fitness, nutrition, mental health, just like everything that's under the topic of healthy lifestyle. So yeah, I
Okay.
mean, it's interesting. I mean, I just
Okay.
started, so we'll see. Like,
Well, hey, we all got to start somewhere, right?
yeah,
I feel like I still just started with this thing too, and I'm a couple months in now.
that's awesome.
But cool. Is there? I'm gonna definitely have some links. So if you're listening to this and you want to get to know Hannah better, there's gonna be some links in the description below. But outside of that, is there anything you want to plug or encourage people to do, or any final remarks?
Yeah, so I would say just try to focus on the now, just be present in the moment, and just take it step by step, day by day, every day 1%. At the end of the year, it's going to be 365%. So every day, a little better, a little better. And yeah, if you want to look for me on Instagram, it's going to be Hanna, Hanna, no H at the end. So HANNA _, healthy, Hanna Healthy. And yeah, you can I have a Facebook group that you can join that I share a lot of recipes and things like that I found, if it's again mental health or workouts or things like that. Yeah, I would love to connect with more people.
I love it. I mean, Hannah, thanks again. And
Thank you.
honestly, something I just kind of thought of is that I think I'm going to start. I finished a digital course, and essentially, it's like it kind of discusses a lot of things we discussed here about how to essentially heal trauma and then find your life's purpose with it. So I think I'm going to actually do this now. I'm going to send out like a 99% discount because if I did it for free, nobody would do it. But I'm going to send you like a discount code for like 99% off. And I think I'm going to send it to like all the guests that I've had. So no pressure, but like if you'd love to just like check it out, review it,
Yeah, of
I'd
course.
be more than grateful for it.
Sure.
Um, Again, no pressure. I know we're still recording, so no pressure there. But yeah, and that goes for everyone else that's listening. Speaking of, like, I think it's great, but I also want to get some feedback on it, see if there's anything I need to fine tune with it and all that stuff. And you're clearly on the path. I think you're gonna watch it and be like, yeah, I get it.
Yeah, 100%. I would love to. I would love to do it, and to give you some insights. And I know how it's always important to get feedback from people. I do the
Yeah,
same
and
thing in other, fitness, so I
with like
understand.
health and fitness, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, a component of it is like forming a community as well. So, like, I have like a group chat and everything. So, I want to form a community, and I certainly with people who are on this mindset, because I think
Amazing.
this is what's gonna these types of conversations, these types of people are what's gonna help take us all to the next level.
Next
You know,
level, yo, next
the
level.
next
That's
level.
my words right there. Next level. Let's be next level.
Let's all be next level.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Hannah, thank you so much for your
Thank you
time.
so much. Thank you.
I really appreciate you being here. I love the time, love your energy. Glad you made it out of Israel. Glad you're able to spend time. And with that, guys, thanks for listening. Check out Hannah's links below. If you want to get healthy, if you want to get your mind right, check out my links below. And yeah, let's continue to grow together.